Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today is just a re-upload of the last episode of the Hedgehog's Dilemma because I felt that it could have been better and I actually forgot some of my talking points. So I'm just going to remake it and hopefully it's better this time. Okay, let's get started. First off, for all the examples I'm going to give of the Hedgehog's Dilemma is going to be from the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend going to watch it after listening to this podcast episode. At least watching the second or third episode and the last two episodes of the anime. You can get it on Netflix, and it's also out on DVD if you like it, so you can just get it at Walmart. Like I said, this episode's going to be about the Hedgehog's Dilemma, so it's not esoteric in nature. It's just more philosophical and psychological instead of occult information based. So the idea of the Hedgehog's Dilemma came from the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who lived from February the 22nd, which is my birthday also, 1788 to September the 21st, 1860. He wrote it in 1851. It's sometimes called the porcupine problem or the porcupine's dilemma. Okay, so imagine that you have two or more hedgehogs and it's cold outside and they're out scavenging for food or doing whatever it is that they do, and they start to get cold. So they try to move close to each other to get warm, but their spines start pricking each other. So because of the pain, they start moving away. This is the same for people, really, is the idea, but the spines are replaced with human ego, and the pain that is caused is the fear of intimacy. It's when we get afraid of being hurt by others, such as rejection, or we have something of ourselves that we don't like and that we don't want other people to see, or that we just don't know how to relate to them. The problem is that we start to freeze when we don't connect to others, and by freeze I mean we start just shutting ourselves off from the world, and we can't actually function correctly. People won't even be able to go and order food and stuff. It causes really bad social anxiety. So one example from Neon Genesis Evangelion is that the main character Shinji Ikari does not know how to relate to others, and that he closes himself off. He's just afraid of others not being able to really accept him or be able to relate to him. So two of the characters, Masato Katsuragi and Ritsuko, actually have a discussion about the Hedgehog's Dilemma. I'll include the discussion that the two of them had about the Hedgehog's Dilemma and Shinji right here.
Hello? Who is it? It's you, isn't it, Ritsuko?
So, how's it going with your new boyfriend?
Boyfriend? Oh, you mean Shinji, right? It's been 2 weeks since he transferred in, and it seems like nothing's changed. No one calls his phone.
He has a phone?
Yeah, everyone needs a phone, so I gave him one a while ago. But there's no sign of him using it at all, or of anyone calling him. I'm afraid that he doesn't have any friends.
Well, it's possible that Shinji is the kind of person who doesn't really make friends very easily. Have you ever heard of the Hedgehog's Dilemma?
Hedgehogs? Those spiky critters?
Hedgehogs have a hard time sharing their warmth with other hedgehogs, because the closer they get, the more they just end up hurting each other. It can be the same with people. Right now, I think some part of Shinji is afraid of that pain, and it makes him timid.
Well, I'm sure he'll figure it out in time. As you get older, you try again and again, and eventually, you figure out the right amount of distance to keep, to avoid hurting each other.
Masato mentions something about finding the right amount of distance to keep from hurting one another, and there's actually a short film. It's either called Harold or Henry, and it's about a hedgehog who wants to give hugs to other animals, but he keeps hurting them with his spines, so all of the other animals try to avoid him until he eventually meets a turtle, and his protective shell actually keeps him from getting hurt by the krills. This is symbolic of the barrier that people put up around themselves to keep from getting hurt as bad by others. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, just because I don't think that you should be putting up shields around yourself to be keeping from hurting others, or for them leaving you because of your bad qualities or your negative qualities, which I'll talk about changing later when we get into spiritual alchemy. Sometimes this has the opposite effect. Instead of actually leaving or moving away from others, we actually stay in bad relationships even if it hurts us, because we're afraid of being alone and we want others to want or need us, even if it's not good for us or the other person. This is why people would stay in bad relationships. So say like you're with someone and they constantly make fun of you or are verbally or physically or mentally abusive to you, and you just stay because it's like, oh well, I could do better, or whatever other reason that you could give. Now is some more references to what I mean in Evangelion. So if you haven't seen it, I really recommend seeing it, because what I'm about ready to talk about won't make much sense at all. If you do want to watch what I'm talking about, just skip to like the last 2 episodes. It's either the second to last or the last episode.
Where am I?
This is the me that exists in your mind, Misato.
And yet at the same time, this is also the me which exists in your mind, isn't it, Shinji?
In order to establish my identity, I have to communicate with the minds of many people. I have to examine that which is at my core. I have to stare at Misato, who resides on the inside of my mind. What is it that you wish for, Misato?
I have to be a good child. Because I have no daddy. Because I have to be good and not bother my mommy. But I don't want to become like my mom. When my father is not here, she always cries. I can't cry. I can't depend on anyone else. So I have to be good. That way maybe my father won't hate me as much. I hope. Maybe my father won't hate me if I be good. But I hated my father. And I hated being a good child. I hate it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of keeping myself clean. I'm tired of pretending to be pure and noble. I'm so tired of it all. I want to disgrace myself, to get so dirty that no one can stand it. I want to see my life and my reputation ruined.
Is that why you slept with him? With Kaji?
No, I slept with him because I love him. You did? Did you really love him? Yes, I did! He accepted me as myself, for the real me. That's why I let him make love to me. Shinji this. I don't want him to see that side of me.
Why are you still embarrassed after all that's happened?
Because I'm ashamed of it. Why does this embarrass you? You weren't ashamed then. You were glad to show your true nature to the man you loved. In fact, you took great pleasure. No, don't do this! You wanted to dirty yourself. You should be happy to show this side of yourself to Shinji, shouldn't you? No! No, no! Are you sure? Or is it perhaps your father that you'd like to show this to? No! Wasn't it really peace of mind that you were seeking in Kaji's bed? No! You wanted peace of mind and warmth from Kaji then? No! You wanted to find your father in Kaji's embrace, didn't you? Is that true? It is true. In Kaji, I'd found my father reborn. And so I fled from him. I was so afraid. He was so much like my father. But at the same time, I was also very happy. I was never happier. That was such a wonderful time. That's why I hated it. That's why I left. That's why I ran away.
So, no reason was required to begin our love, but you needed a reason for ending it.
Yes, you were so kind, Kaji. You were so kind to disgrace me, to dirty me, to deflower me.
Just because you hate yourself is no reason to injure yourself further. Punishing yourself is simply a cheat to make you feel better for a little while. Don't do this to yourself.
And now you'll tell me to take care of myself? Men always do that. They'll escape to their jobs, their own world, and leave me behind. They always leave me behind.
Always, just like our father did. They always escape from the harsh realities.
Harsh reality. I am his harsh reality. Of course, I am a problem.
Stop this! Misato!
Why should anyone else love me anyway? I hate myself!
You're vulgar and impure.
You're pathetic.
You're gross and disgusting! I've never seen anyone in such a disgusting relationship!
Congratulations on your promotion, Major Katsuragi.
The me who is recognized is the me who's performing a role in order to be appreciated. But she's not the real me.
Your true self is always crying, isn't she?
Yes, but I am happy. I am happy. It's true, I am happy. I'm not. This isn't the happiness I want. This isn't me. It is not the true myself. I just don't want to face a harsh reality.
But we have to. We cannot live otherwise. You know you'd be alone and afraid.
Unstable.
If nobody was sleeping next to you.
Are you afraid of sleeping alone?
Or does sleeping by yourself remind you of how empty your life is?
She can't stand not having other souls around her.
So, you'll sleep with anyone, won't you, Major?
No!
Yes, you just want to be infatuated with primal ecstasy. You want to fill the hole in your heart with temporary escape.
You take advantage of men to soothe the pain in your soul.
No, no, no!
During the whole entire human instrumentality breakdown thing of Katsuragi, there were other psychological things going on that was talked about, but the main focus of today's episode of the podcast with the Hedgehog's Dilemma, a bunch of the other characters were talking about how disgusting she is and how they can't stand her, basically. And she was freaking out if using like, oh, that's not me and all of that, because they could actually see parts that she didn't want others to see. So that shows how the Hedgehog's Dilemma can actually make us hurt ourselves by denying aspects to ourselves, and then also outwardly denying it to others. Not saying that there's stuff that we should tell people, or stuff that about us that is good that we should just totally make public, but it doesn't help that we deny it either. But as I said before, you have to transmute it through spiritual alchemy and other things like that, which I'll go over later. From the original English sub, by the way. So if you watch it on Netflix, the translation's going to be a little bit different, but the idea is basically the same. We may not consciously know the flaws that we don't want others to see or know about, but we subconsciously do. So we push other people away from us. And that's really what was getting at, was that we push others away because we don't want them to see our flaws, and we don't want to hurt others, but we also don't want to be hurt by others. Ultimately, the Hedgehog's Dilemma shows that our own psyches is what makes our relationships end up being weak. Schopenhauer himself did say, though, about people, there are many unpleasant and repulsive qualities and insufferable drawbacks drive people apart. He wasn't very fond of people, not that he was mean or rude or anything, he just didn't know how to relate. So since he didn't know how to relate to people, he had a very somewhat negative view on relationships of really all kind to people. Really, the only way to fix this within ourselves is to reflect on our own qualities and our own nature, and from there take that stuff that we don't like and transmute it through the 7 stages of spiritual alchemy and create ourselves into our own, somewhat perfected. You can never be perfect because it's a continuous process, but perfect ourselves from that lower creature, lead metal, into the pure gold, the philosopher's stone, and from there be able to relate to others better and better ourselves at the same time. So yeah, I think that's it for this episode of the podcast. I just wanted to make it be a little bit better. Really, it wasn't long enough. I forgot a lot of my talking points. There were other characters that I could have used, but Misato and Shinji are the 2 easiest when it comes to the Hedgehog's Dilemma, especially Misato at the very end and Shinji at the very beginning. Yeah. In other news, hopefully either next week or the week after. I think it's the week after if she's, not busy. But my friend is actually going to co-host an episode with me. So that's going to be interesting. Hopefully it'll make the episodes be a little bit better. I don't know the topic yet. We're still trying to figure that out. This weekend, I am going to do a live stream on YouTube on either Sunday or Saturday. I'm thinking I'll probably do it Sunday. It'll probably be at 7-ish, 7 or 8 p.m. And I will answer questions that people might have about the last couple of podcast episodes, as well as just have discussions about upcoming stuff, ideas, stuff like that. So yeah, look forward to that, and yeah, have a good week, rest of your night, day, whatever time it is you're listening. I hope I'm getting better, and I hope you like this episode of the podcast. And again, check out Neon Genesis Evangelion for really more of what I mean. I can't cover the entire series in this episode, but I'm going to in the future. So when I cover that series, I'll come back to the Hedgehog's Dilemma, of course. So yeah, bye.